Okay, good evening, peoples. It's Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. All right, I thought I would get this out this evening because I'm sure many of you, this is going to be on YBIT. So I want you guys to stay calm. First of all, if you're over leveraged, that's always going to lead to a problem, right? If you're all in on something. In other words, I bought Coney or I bought Misty or I bought NVIDIA. You know, when you're long assets and it's a large percentage in a sector, and the reason I say a sector is right now, Bitcoin to me doesn't belong with a high-tech FOMO, but it's been in a bull market, and that bull market lately has paralleled the FOMO into the QQQs that the Mag 7, and you all know that story, right? They're just near historic highs from a PE for many reasons. So they're vulnerable to pullbacks, and they're also vulnerable to liquidity drains by the people that want those assets cheaper. So they can yank them down, push them down, get you to run by, sell stops and all kinds of things. So I couldn't begin to tell you if this BTC and this pullback in NVIDIA is going to last, if it's going to go a lot bigger. I would say possible to all of those things, right? But it wasn't a coincidence that I put out how to hedge your YIELDMAX assets, right, your ETFs, because the more you have in these, and listen, guys, I have a lot in these. These are tremendous tools with the leverage of options that just didn't exist to a retail trader. I mean, again, if you're a seasoned option person like myself, I use a lot of different option strategies. But even then, when I can have somebody do it for a 1% fee, that's advantageous. I'll do that all day long. I'll go put my options on something they don't have, right? So I just wanted to say, please stay calm. If you're down big, couple of things. You can buy more if you're bullish. Again, are you bullish? That's always the question. I hate it when someone says, well, and everybody runs and jumps in NVIDIA, a la NVIDIA. Well, when do you pile into that? Usually at the top, right? When do you sell? At the first sign of fear on a 10, 15, 20% pullback, right? So what have you done? You've just been whipsawed out of your investment. So I'm not saying if you look at something like Tesla and it went from 400 to 100 and you sat in there in Tesla and got killed, not to get out. However, even when I look at that scenario, I'm now bullish on Tesla. Okay, I didn't own any Tesla before. I didn't know, but I can look at a chart and I can say that Tesla ran 20x from 2019 into 2021. So once I saw it break that top, I said, I don't want to own it till I see something internally in the company that says to me it may have bottomed. Now, am I 100%? Could it go from the 180s now down to 100 again? It could, but that would be, to me, the buying opportunity of a lifetime, because I think it's 10x where it is now in 3 to 5 years. So somebody says, well, wait a minute, it went up 20x. Do you know what waves are in Elliott wave? So you're in a big up wave, then you're in a downdraft wave for 2 years, and you'll probably be in an up wave again. Not without gyrations, right? Even in an Elliott wave impulse move up, usually it's 5 waves. 1, 3, and 5 are up, 2 and 4 are corrections, and a correction can be significant. So, and I'm not saying they're perfect. No one, even knowing Elliott wave and doing all that, but it increases your chances of the probability of something happening, right? And I can't tell you if this is a small pullback. I said to you before, once we broke 66 in Bitcoin, it was vulnerable to go to 60. If it breaks 60, it's very vulnerable to go to 52. And probably the worst case on any Elliott wave I've seen is 44. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Every time it hits a lower level, the probabilities increase. Well, we're already bouncing in after hours, right? We went to 59, and you saw that blood red drop on all of your holdings that are BTC related. Well, I'll tell you one that wasn't of mine was my BTC holding, right? Since I'm long Coney, I'm long Misty, and I'm long YBIT, I put protection insurance on. It's not a coincidence that I put those videos out. So my BTC was up 7.93. Now, today, do you know what the 2 times was up? SBIT? 15.33, as it should be, right? Technically, if it was a pure 2 buy, it might have been 1586. That would be the math. But I'll take 1533. So if you're not doing a little bit of hedging when you're in, look, BTC is, do I believe it's going to 100 and probably 250 and some of these higher? Yes, because I think it's a store of wealth. It's a irrefutable ledger. You know, anyone who's studied it a lot understands of what Bitcoin can give a system, right? A store of wealth, transferable, and there's a lot of progress it needs to make before it really becomes an asset you can spend every day and everything. But some form of that will happen. And you can't cheat it. It is limited, okay? I didn't say meme coins. I didn't say all the other crypto. Okay, so there's my tirade and my reminder to people. Let's get into YBIT. But if I don't say that stuff, I feel your pain or your fear or your concern when you hold something and it goes down. I say when that happens, turn the computer off if you're watching. Go outside, right? Take a break. Don't let it ruin you. Things go down, things go up. It's already bouncing in after hours. But here's a typical bear flag instead of a bull flag. Maybe it starts to gain back 60 or 70% of what it went down, and then it drops again, right? So I'm going to show you at the end on a BTC chart, which is the underlying, where I see a potential bottom and try and correlate it, right, specifically to YBIT. But if you own those other assets, you need to have a little bit of a hedge. You don't have to do a 1-for-1. If you put $100,000 in Coney and Misty, don't go put $100,000 in a hedge, because you need to be comfortable that you're a bull and on these pullbacks. But there's nothing wrong with owning, a hedge. You need it in today's times. All right, so here we go. So looking at this scenario on YBIT, what happened, right? So what happened to BTC? BTC went down 7.98. It got destroyed. We were down 5.56. Now, understand, we're a small fund from a liquidity basis in YBIT compared to BTC. I was looking after the opening for 30 minutes, and I was seeing like BTC was down 5.53%, and we were down 1%. Why? Because there just isn't that much volume in YBIT, right? If you're bullish BTC and you didn't own any YBIT, buy it all day at 16. Does that mean it might not go to 15 or high 14s? I mean, after it distributes, when we get another $1 plus payout, and I'll talk about that, it's going to drop that value the next opening or pre-opening on the value. That's just standard for all companies that pay a dividend. It gets reflected in their NAV at the next pre-market and open. Some stocks don't even trade in the pre-market. Okay, so we did better than the underlying. So what else happened? Well, we put on a bunch of trades. Why? Because we got people buying into the fund. Remember this? People sold off 50,000 shares. I hadn't even seen this, right? So we set it 1975 through Friday, and then we got a 300 net. Now, I forget the volume. Let me check out the volume on YBIT altogether. I think it was like 55,000. I can't remember. I look at so many. No, 128,000. Okay, so that netted us 300,000. So they were obviously shares waiting to come in there that weren't in the creation units. Either that or somebody else bought into it or something. But I know that people talked about YIELDMAX contributing previously, and that made a lot of sense. So I'm sure they got their allocation and weren't trying to bunch it up. But what I'll say here is when you get a flow into the fund, then they can go use that money. So let's talk about the positions they wrote. All right, so they wrote 2,322 contracts. So they also put that on in a synthetic. So guys, I got to tell you, we are cash rich. They could pay us $7 if they wanted to. They won't, because we have a big liability on the other side out there with a 35 strike price. So we have a paper loss on that of 24 million. But they got 20-something million in the fund that they could use to pay us. They're probably just going to pay us at the 80% yield, so we'll probably get $1.20 or something. But don't worry about that. They don't have a lot of cash. I know somebody I was chatting with on one of the chat boards said, oh, well, you know, if BITO drops to $10, they're going to have a $40 million paper loss, and the fund isn't even that big, and they're going to have to close. I said, that's not going to happen. First off, you know, BITO's not going to go. If BITO goes to 10, the whole market is in trouble. You just had an 80% crash in all equities, right? Because right now, BTC is tracking the QQQs. I mean, it's all the FOMO in the NASDAQ and these all-time highs in NVIDIA, and now it's turning, right? And so they're going down together. Should they be going down together? They don't have anything to do with each other, right? By the way, I had two areas that were green in my YIELDMAX. You know what they were? GDXY, which I've been telling you guys that sector is up and coming, and my Tesla purchase. Why? Because the baby's thrown out with the bathwater. So many haters on. I mean, there's bulls too, but the people that got burned on the move from 400 to 100 don't like it, and they're out, you know, figuring out a system of, you know, buying a 2X and selling it. You know, they're seeing it in this tight range. They're not even looking at the wave that's going to take it up to, you know, 10X of where it is now. Likely, again, is that an absolute? No, but I'm pretty bullish on it, pretty confident that Elon Musk will get there. Okay, enough of the side stuff. Let's finish this. So let's go look at the weekly. So these, and then I'm going to show you the synthetic they did. So here's the new, and by the way, there's one other piece I want to give you guys. So the real confusion going on is BITO, the underlying, has always announced their distribution on the day. Obviously, they have to do it like anybody on the day before ex-dividend, because once they announce it, then the next day it goes ex-dividend and you can't buy it for that. So last month, and they usually always fall around the first, and last month they had a Saturday, so I think they did it Friday night after the market. So they didn't give people really a chance to buy in. So this week, this end of this week is the 28th, so it's the last calendar day for trading, I think. Yeah, because, let me see if I missed something on the calendar. Yeah, so you got 29 and 30 in June and 1st on July. So ex-dividend's going to be July 1, and so that means they're going to announce. Do they announce on the morning of the 28th, or do they announce after? But I'm not trying to, what that does is that impacts the calls that get written by the YIELDMAX fund managers. And I was noticing they went low, but they're not counting, because even if they announce in the morning or they announce after on Friday, the price doesn't drop until technically over the weekend and prior to Monday opening, so it doesn't affect their calls. The market, the fund managers were very astute in writing where they wrote. Not because of that, because they saw the chart of Bitcoin and were actually trying to sense the market. I wouldn't say time the market. If they were going to time the market, they would write their calls all erratic at different times, and they don't. They tend to do them every Friday, right? So I'm not suggesting that they're trying to be market timers. I know they're not, but sometimes with that wisdom, they do things. And so we have a situation right here. Let me copy something while I'm talking because I needed to update these. So the scenario is we're in a pretty good situation. You don't see this after a Monday where we've captured 76.81% of the weekly total. And guys, that includes the ones they wrote today, right? So we went from 14-something thousand to 17,000 contracts on our weeklies. And obviously, we pull way back on BITO, the instrument they're writing all these options on, right? So, but it looks pretty good. Well, what's the counter to that? What's the yang to the yin? Well, we're making money like crazy on these guys. We're losing money like crazy on the other. But one is a capture of income. The other is a liability. You borrowed the money, right? You borrowed the money on some asset you think is going to go way, way up. And if it goes way, way up in the time frame you bet on it, then borrowing the money was genius. And that's exactly what they're doing here. So let me take you through that. All right. So we see the weeklies. Let's go over. Oh, actually, let me just go take you to the 35 because I put these in here. So here we are. What do you notice here with these 35s, which are way out of the money when BITO's been 25, 26, 27, and now it's 22? Well, we pay peanuts, right? We pay a few pennies for the calls, and we create a liability, but we cash that in. So we just gained 3.300 and 29 minus 11. So another 18. So 3,318,000 we put in our piggy bank. That's real money. That's cash we received. So what do we have? Well, we have a paper liability. Oh, these, sorry, I didn't update these, but I did in my holdings. And I didn't update this guy either. Sorry, guys. You think you're ready and you do all these. And anyway, it's not that important to have it everywhere. The key places that I really talk about right here, this is all updated. So we got a $24 million liability. Okay? But again, time can heal that. That goes out to August 2nd. These can't be put to us, the kind of synthetics they put on. We don't get assigned early. So we just ride that out. Look at this. We've captured 91% of 10,775 because they're up at 25 with 4 trading days, and BITO's trading at 22. Yeah, there's going to be a bounce. It could go to 23, 23 and a half, but, my thought is it bounces and then turns around and goes back down. But it could be a complete flush and get it all done in 7 days or 10 days, and off we go again roaring. But we just have to let it play. That's why I say turn your computer off, walk outside, take a break. Don't panic. There's not a reason to panic. All right, so the 5400s, we're 8% in the money, right? And a portion of those were just added. This one was just added today, and we're 17.14% up on that. So overall, we look pretty darn good on the weeklies. And it's higher because we use the money that flowed in because of the bargain shoppers seeing the 16, digits. If you see 16 and it's been 18, 19, 17, that's a time to buy, not if you're bullish, right? If you hate BTC and it's horrible, don't buy into this fund, really. I mean, if you're not bullish on the underlying, don't chase yield. Okay, so let's look at the payouts. This is where it's at, guys. So anyway, I don't know why these two numbers don't match. The NAV's up here at 1780, and they're saying fair value 1727. It is what it is. But let's go to the payout. So look at this now, right? Even adding the shares, I think this went down to like 5 something, And then when I calculated the additional short call income, we've gotten that up to 60 cents. So that's legitimate money we've earned, booked, and it's done. Although this one this week has to not run past it. But guys, if it ran past it, then the synthetic is going to be dropped. And this one is all sort of borrowed money, right? This is all that, pay me now and I owe you later. So as long as we get there, so the loss on the synthetic 35 is at 24. So, okay, the big question, here it is, guys. What are they going to pay us? Well, you know what I did the previous month. I said could be 250 plus, and everybody laughed and said, oh, yeah, you were real close, right? So what did YIELDMAX decide to do? Well, they said we got a paper liability. We collected $6 and something. They don't need anything more than $1.37 because, this thing could go down further. And so they paid us a nice 80% yield, like an 81% yield on a then $19 stock. So it's all up to YIELDMAX what they want to pay. But, we've got a carry forward of $5.34, and we've got another 7 captured. So when you add all this together, there's a lot of money out there, which is pretty close to what, the yin and the yang. So they got a $24 million loss, and they got about $24 million worth of assets in here. So I could see why they maybe just want to pay $1. But I'll tell you what, if Bitcoin recovers and gets going in the ensuing months, this is going to be a very profitable fund, just like Coney and Misty can be, But I'm not predicting it. I'm just showing you the accounting and the cash. And we all know Bitcoin is volatile. Okay, guys, so that's what I got for you. Sorry I was a little long-winded, but I really feel for you. I'm empathetic in that feeling, that gut in the bottom. Oh, no, right? Don't let it get you down. Okay, guys, again, this is Bruce from Targeted Wealth Creation. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Hopefully it soothed your feelings. I won't even say it was fun. Hopefully it informed you. Okay, guys. See ya.